In this video, we are going to explore three things. The first thing is how to cultivate a baseline of joy in your life so that everything you do, every decision that you take is really from your best self and not from fear, anger, or anxiety. The second thing is how to self-regulate under pressure in business meetings or in conflict with your partner, getting tools, getting techniques so that you can actually self-regulate. And the third thing is we're going to explore the number one practice that elite performers use to stay in control of their emotions and stay actually in peak performance and in a peak state and not get dragged down or agitated by emotional distress. Basically, there are two states that we can operate from. One state is what I call the expansion state. This is when we're joyful, when we're on the optimistic side of life, when we want to collaborate with others, when we feel safe, when we're out there exploring the world and we're super creative. And then the other one are contraction states. And these contraction states, they are when we react from fear, when we react from anger to a situation, like we're not really in charge, when we're don't want to collaborate, when we have self-doubts, when we regret the past and think about the future and worry about what's going to come and happen. That's the contraction states. And we can actively shift between those states if we wire the neurological pathways in our brain and create resilience. So when you master your emotional state, then you master your life and your business. I remember a day in Tenerife that was a few years ago, and I was there with my ex-partner. I had rented a super nice apartment for us, and we wanted to enjoy a beautiful day by the beach. But I felt completely stuck. I wanted to finish a work project that I had wanted to finish the day before already so that we actually had time that day. And then another part of me just wanted to go to the beach and enjoy. So they were fighting. They were having this intense tension, and I couldn't move. I felt agitated, I felt frustrated, I felt angry, and I couldn't move because one part wanted to just let it all go and go to the beach. But the other one, the inner critic, was kind of saying, no, you cannot just go to the beach without actually doing that, without having finished that project. So what was happening was these situations happened to me all the time. Procrastination is part of that. Anger and frustration when things didn't go my way. And also going to beautiful beaches, but not actually being there because my head was racing. Not being present at the dinner table. Not being present in conversations with my partner because I had all the other things in my head that were still there. And I was sick of that. I was really sick of that because I didn't want to live from this place anymore, because it influenced the people that I was with in a negative way. And also it interfered with me actually enjoying the moment and the day. So that moment in Tenerife, I took a decision. I laid down flat on the ground and I was like, I'm going to solve this now. And I lay there probably 25, 30 minutes. And what happened in those 25, 30 minutes are still astonishing me. I mean, since then I've studied a lot about what's happening and how we can regulate. But back then I just did it intuitively. And that was the first time when I saw that something was working so profoundly that I could shift my state so profoundly and so fast. So I want to explain to you how I did that. So what was happening when I was laying on the ground was that all of a sudden, I realized that this stuck part, this angry part, this frustrated part, but also the part that wants to enjoy are actually different parts of my personality. They're kind of like little persons inside of me that are fighting, that are not really in coherence. So what I did was I actually started to talk to them. So I talked to the different parts. I talked to the frustrated part. I talked to the angry part. I talked to the stuck part. And all of a sudden, the things shifted and I realized that underneath that frustration and anger was actually a lot of sadness. There was so much sadness underneath that there was a moment when I just started crying for like 30 seconds, 1 minute. But afterward, I felt completely clear. I felt calm. I felt centered. I felt as if I had drank a cup of clarity in that moment. as those tears washed away my tension, I realized that I actually had these different parts of myself and I can work with them. So we went to the beach. We enjoyed the day by the beach and I was actually super present. We had so much fun. We laughed the whole day. We were joyful. We went into the water. In the end, we had a beautiful dinner outside. And in the next morning, I actually went into a flow state. I finished that project with ease. I had so much fun doing that. So my biggest revelation about this was that mastering my emotional state is actually the fastest way to a successful business and to a life that feels fulfilling and deep, nourishing relationships. So what happened in that moment? I had built up emotional debt. And emotional debt is what I call the fossil fuels of our body. When we build emotional debt, then we create a new situation out of the negative emotion of the old situation. So for example, when we react from anger in one situation, this anger influences the next situation. When we react from fear in one situation, this will influence the decision in the next situation. Does this make sense? And this means that we over time build an emotional debt. So how can we turn emotional debt into emotional overflow? We have to shift from those emotions that drain our energy to actually feeling them and then shifting into states of joy, into states of calmness, into states of acceptance, of confidence. And this over time will build emotional overflow where we can then give from greater energy, from higher energy, and we don't deplete ourselves and other people. Stop reacting. High achievers don't let emotions run them. Here's how to stay calm under pressure and control your emotions in 30 seconds. First, become aware of your emotional state and locate it where it is in your body. Second, name the emotion that you're experiencing. Remember, you're not angry or scared. You're experiencing anger or fear. It's not who you are. It's just a part of you. This lets you detach from that emotion so you don't identify with it. And then third, welcome it, embrace it. This might seem counterintuitive, but it's all physics. Pressure creates counter pressure. So welcome the emotion actively. Say emotion, fear, anger, whatever. You're a part of me and you're welcome here. Fourth, stay with the feeling in the body, giving it the sensation that it's absolutely welcome here. And get curious about what its message is. As if you were to soothe a child, you would also just stay there, be happy, look at it, observe it, right? That's what you do with the emotion. And this will help you stop being reactive and get proactive in any situation that you experience in life. On top of that, I would love to give you 3 ways to regulate your emotions in any situation. Because what I've experienced is that oftentimes we get so overwhelmed that we don't know what to do, right? And then we go into reactive patterns again and are not proactively controlling the situation. Your emotions control your thoughts and your actions. They create actually a feedback loop of emotion, thought, emotion, thought, emotion, thought. That's why we sometimes spin in emotion for a lot of time. Research has found that genuine emotions only last for about 30 to 90 seconds. After that, it's just the thought recreating the emotion and the neurological patterns in the brain firing again together. It's as if you would just open a drawer and you take out an old book and you read through that old book again. And this old book is a saved file from when you were really young and you always reacted in the same way in the same situation. But that doesn't serve you anymore nowadays. Old memories have an emotional imprint. Whenever you experience a similar situation as you have when you were really young, or when you experience that intense emotional imprint, the same emotion comes up again. For example, when I was about 12 years old, I came back from school and it was a beautiful summer day and I wanted to hang out with my friends. And these friends were in my hometown. So I called them and I was like, hey, you want to go to the lake? You want to have fun? You want to enjoy the sun? And each one of them said, no, I got to do something. I got to work with my parents or I have to do homework. So I went down to the lake by myself. And I just stood there looking to the sun and standing with my feet in the grass. I look out on the lake and I see a boat and there's 5 people on it. the friends that I had just called an hour before. So in that moment, my heart sank and I ingrained, because the emotion was so intense, the belief that I have to show everybody that I'm enough. And that's why I started my first company, from that belief of I am not enough. I have to show the world that I'm worthy of love. I have to prove the world that I'm worthy of love. I started my first companies, which ultimately made me really successful at one point. And also for the next phase of my life didn't serve me anymore, because just keep on going on that belief didn't help me. But the good thing is that we can reprogram those beliefs and also reprogram the emotional and neurological pathways in our brain. But that's why we get stuck in the same emotion over and over. Here are 3 steps to start repatterning these old feedback loops. Step 1, the awareness is really key here. Track your emotions with an app like How We Feel, or a notebook or a journal. And in any moment, check in and ask, what emotion is present right now? I actually have an alarm in my phone that goes off 3 times a day. Step number 2, shift your state. Create a stop moment. Means clap into your hands or do something unexpected, like making a turn. Then regulate your nervous system. Step 3, lead, don't react. Choose the action that will bring long-term benefits for you instead of releasing your emotional burden. Act as your most mature version instead of following the reactive patterns of your inner child or of that situation that you have experienced in the past. Think about what your best self would actually do. Try this today. And if you want to have a quick way that you can do every day in order to create more resilience and to repattern those neurological pathways, comment expansion, and I will send you this audio that I used for years in order to repattern those emotional and neurological pathways so I can actually act from a place of expansion instead of contraction. Ultimately, it's really about the emotional state that influences every situation and every decision. And these decisions and situations then ripple out into your future. It's as if you were planting seeds. When you plant a molding seed, then you cannot expect that a beautiful tree grows from it. But if you plant like a well-nourished, healthy seed, then the chances are big that a beautiful, a fresh, a green tree comes from that bears fruit that you will enjoy for the rest of your life. So master your emotional state and then see what beautiful trees and fruit grow from this expansive state. If you enjoyed this video and you think it could bring value to somebody, share it with your friends, with family, with whoever you think could benefit. Also, click like, follow the channel so you can get all the amazing stuff that's going to come in the next weeks that are super valuable for you in your life so you can actually live from a place of expansion. And I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.